If you think there is a second wave of the CCP virus where you are, when did the first one end, and what need happen for the second to stop? So as the media and other people start moving towards different talks of a continued spike in certain infection numbers of the CCP virus, I have seen some increased panic or reactions of worries of certain people about what's going on, talking about the second wave. Or our people are so stupid. Just go on YouTube and just get news stories and just look at the different kind of mainstream media and other people that are covering these things and seeing the different things that they're posting. I'll see something like a spike in cases after the Tulsa rally of Trump, and then it was actually comically enough. Just yesterday, there was an article. It's maybe not comical, maybe it's macabre in a sense, but there's an article about how Black Lives Matter protests may have actually reduced the spread of it because somehow some of the people who were going against the actual lockdowns and were going out and trying to go back to work and go back to life the way it was before the shutdowns were too scared or afraid to go out during the protests. So technically, they were still people out congregating in groups together, but since there was fewer people in total outside, that reduced the spread. There's things like this being done. There is, to me, the very conspicuous change from talking about the death rate, the deaths, the death toll, which is what was being put up on the screen, on the ticker, like complete sports. And I've noticed, to me, this political thing, to me, might be more like sports. It seems to be more entertaining, more engaging, more realistic. There's more things going up and down. There's more things to watch. There's more intricacies. There's just more things involved in this. Teams are coming from different places. Person switches the team. You don't know where the goal is going to be scored. You don't know what the end of the game is going to be. It's not predictable. To me, there's something that I find appealing, engaging. It involves me. You're part of the game. Then all of a sudden you're on the sideline. Then all of a sudden you're drawn in. Then you're part. It's different. It's less detached, I think, than some of the sports and entertainment out there. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm lolzing at people's lives. I'm being entertained. You're not entertained. No, I'm just talking about in general that this is something that is gripping people. And I think you're going to see. This is just a general observation that people are going to be a lot more politically engaged after this. I think from this major pause of certain things that were more superfluous, that were more distracting us from the realities of the world, and then we see the many things that did get set up that we took for granted. I think now when things start coming back in, these other distractors, these other things that have their own value in certain ways, people will start comparing them to what they were seeing now that they were actually looking at the structures of things. The addiction that we have to the state and to control of other people and these things that we take for granted, the lack of actually engaging in our agency. But that's a bit of a digression. Let me get back to this one. So now they've switched from cases, numbers of infections, rather than talking about deaths, because the death rate has actually dropped. And this has dropped for many reasons, many possible reasons. Some of the possible reasons are viruses themselves, like other things that exist, will evolve to some sense to a point where they actually live. If something, some kind of virus, some kind of disease, some kind of organism, some kind of thing, even some kind of predator, if you're just a general predator and you're so good at actually just destroying things, like look at humans. Humans are very good at killing cows. But if we get to the point where we could kill cows way better than we kill them now. But if we get to the point where we just kill all the cows, just kill all the cows immediately, every day, like we're just killing hundreds of cows apiece, eventually the cows will disappear. So if we rely on the cows to live, we're going to find a way to have a sort of living arrangement with the cows where the cows stay alive. We almost even encourage the cows to live longer, at least long enough and healthy enough for us to actually get to the point where we have a regular supply of cows to sustain us. So this is the same thing with the virus. Some of them get to the point where the type of virus that actually exists enough to not completely just kill off the host, but to just maintain itself in the host with minimal damage and then keep spreading and reproducing is the one that gets the most successful. Second, humans themselves are ingenious folk. Even if I'm taking away any of the possible concerns and interests that certain people have in getting, and this is one of the things, there is a certain drug out there that finally is actually being mentioned. The actual cost of like $330 per dose for the developing countries, and then 550 something per dose for the insurance companies in the developed worlds. And with most of these things, these aren't actually going to be paid by the people because they have these systems where the state and fiat currency is taken out and tax money is used and things like this. So it's thousands of dollars for the actual dosage, basic dosage that supposedly right now has been found to help the actual cure, help the healing of this virus for 4 days. So it's like about a week dose. So they do that, like 1 week dose. And the way this happens with the orders is you approach a company, you approach a country, you approach something, and then you say, okay, you're going to be dealing with how many people in this amount of time? And you're going to need this when? Oh, like in a year? Okay, so here you go. Here's the order for the 100,000 of them. You're going to give us the money now? Yeah, you can get a loan from this because we're setting up systems for loans and things like this for you to actually get these things paid. You give us the money, we keep the money, we keep making this product, and we pass it to you. And then if it comes down to a year and that thing isn't actually even needed anymore, it doesn't matter. I mean, I've got our money, you've got your loan, you've got your cut of it, everything. You look like you're doing something. And there's a particular company with some people who are involved in this company who have get this out, and I think now that they have their money, also I am one of the people who believes this a great part of this is due to the election season. Once election season passes, depending, I think Trump is going to win, pretty certain in that. So they might continue it a bit after that, but I think you will see it start to drop off. Some people have gotten their money. This thing has happened with that. That has changed. But even if you take all that away, humans find ways to address things. Despite this antivirus thing, this vaccine, supposed vaccine coming out, we're finding better ways to address this, better treatments protocols. We're finding better ways to actually isolate the people who are most at risk. We're finding out that people under 40 essentially don't die from this unless they have a, a an odd and unfortunate mix of pre-existing conditions that very few people have, like this unfortunate 16-year-old kid that was kind of a beast who died from it, and that's some sad stuff. But the actual amount of it, and we're just finding out these different changes. Businesses that reopen, other people that get back out there will be doing certain things to change the actual effect. And then as this thing increases, of course, we have better testing so we can find out who has it earlier, and isolate those people. We have things where it's not herd immunity, but just in general, when more people get the thing, eventually you do get to the point where there's fewer people getting it because there's a limited number of people. It may continue in society, but it will get to the point where even if you're testing, even if the infection rate stays exactly the same and 100,000 people get infected a day, eventually there'll be fewer than half of the people. So eventually there'll be a point where most of the people already have it. And then at that point, even though enough virus is being spread for 100,000 people to actually be infected, there'll be fewer than those people. There'll be a day where there's only 90,000 people left. And then all those people are infected. And then the infections could end in that kind of sense. Now, there could be reinfections and all these things. And that's why I'm thinking, with the people who are saying right now, there is a second wave of the CCP virus, when do you define that the first wave ended? Was it because some curve was flattened, like we were told to begin with? Like that was initially the first claim of saying, oh, we're going to flatten this curve. Then now that there is literally more testing in certain countries, I've talked about this in separate videos. I don't want to belabor the point, but I must mention it again here. Literally, if you test more with more effective tests, chances are the numbers of cases you find will be higher. Go check where you are. Certain places are opening, certain hospitals are reopening. You have people who are going in for other procedures. And now, whenever you go into a hospital for a procedure, there are more tests. There's more access to testing. Before, there was a limit in tests, and they were focusing on at-risk people and essential workers. So those were the people being tested. Now that you have people going back into hospital for other procedures, they also get tested. And then if they're found to have coronavirus in there, they're considered to be part of the testing. It is not necessarily said that this person got testing because they were at home for 2 months or 3 months, and then now, during this last week that they exited the home, that is when they got the virus. For all you know, these people had the virus months ago, a month ago. It's been in their system. They're not saying this person is completely ill and dying from this. They're not saying this person is being intubated on the ventilators from this virus. They're just saying these numbers are going higher, which makes sense. The countries that are testing more are getting higher of an uptick. The countries that are testing less are not. If, like I'm saying, if we start seeing that, oh, this death rate that has been dropping from, you look at the actual figures, all of a sudden spikes up again, because supposedly some states and some locations reopened too early, and now it's the 2 week point where people were talking about, oh, this is the 2 week point. I'm not even sure if they're sure about that 2 week thing anymore. What data are you using to really think that the CCP virus had a first wave that ended? This is, to me, it seems like this is just more people just throwing out terms and words without defining the things that they actually had. And I had separate videos talking about how this doesn't matter. When you get to the point of the end of this, there's going to be a large number of people who are just going to say, it wasn't as bad because of what we did. And then with the same exact results, a lot of other people will be saying, it wasn't bad, so we shouldn't have done any of those things. And they're not going to provide any actual empirical evidence for this. It's okay to say we don't know what's going on. It's okay to say that this is a bit of, not a bit, this is a rather big quagmire that I am not surprised. Like, I've talked about this in a separate video, how you look at what happened with the reaction of the government to something like the Area 51 type of thing, the Storm Area 51, which was just a general hoax troll type of event, and the reaction that they had, the bumbling reaction that they had to actually trying to organize that. This has happened in several locations and several things. Look at the government trying to react to Antifa. Look at what happened in Chop Chaz. That is a very real sort of occupation of something, and how the different parts of the government have come by to actually try and act and react and politicize and deal with a very real significant situation of an external organism of sort infecting the organism that the government state itself is supposed to be in control of in a city municipal area, and see how they actually reacted to that to try and like heal and keep that place safe and protect the people and parts of it that were inside. It's a mess. And these are the people. Look at the reporting of that, how disparate it was. When this is a limited location with known factors, with things that you could just put cameras and they could have just gone to a situation where it's just, we have so many drones in this country, in the world, in the United States of America. There's all kinds of ways to just surveil the thing. You're telling me they couldn't just surveil that entire location, tag the actual identities of everyone who's in there and out of there, and just know what's going on? They can do all this spying stuff. Didn't they have all this spycraft? Supposedly you're supposed to put like little post-its over your phones and all these things because they're spying on you, but we couldn't just get full coverage about this place and just see what's happening and know what's happening and then report and organize and control and help? That can be done. Yet these people are supposed to be able to track a virus to the point where you trust what they're saying about second waves and best ways to deal with these things, and we should go this place, and oh, these people shouldn't be allowed to travel to this place. Yeah, we trust what's coming out from China and this Chinese Communist Party doing all this testing. It's some ridiculous situation going on this. So again, if you think there is a second wave of the CCP virus where you are, when did the first wave end? What are the things that makes you, in your mind, have had some time when you were talking about a first wave and we need to stop this first wave and you feel that stopped? What are those things that made you feel it stopped? And what do you think those things need to be done again in order to stop this second wave? And what is that end situation? Please try and define that. Please try and define it. You don't even have to share it with me. I would appreciate if you let me know in the comment section. But just for you, I think just it might help you. I'm not sure. I don't know your life. Maybe you live a life where you just like saying things, or you literally mean things figuratively, and you don't actually have people around you who take things literal. Where you just kind of, I'm just saying this. It's whatever. It's just what we say. It's just words. It's just words we write. We don't really mean anything. So maybe you don't feel the need to actually define things, words to mean what they mean, what they should mean. I don't know. So, but if it's something that does worry you, then I think it might help because you might be able to actually communicate this to other people who are not doing the things, who supposedly are increasing this second wave of infection numbers, because you might actually have a mind that, unlike me, did think that this infection was going to continue for a long time. I was never actually thinking. So for me, I'm telling you, I don't think there ever was an end of a first wave. I think this is just the general infection. I don't know when this wave started. I don't even know that terminology is wave thing. It never ended. It was never in my mind that we were going to accomplish anything as a human race to end the spread of the sort of virus that I first heard of and kept hearing about. I was rather confident that it shall continue, it shall spread, and eventually it's going to be here with us for longer than just now. What I am happy about is that the death rate is nowhere close to the 2 million projection, or to even what was actually being found earlier on, when we did not, and we still do not know the denominator of how many people have it. The great thing to me that I'm just happy about is that it seems the more people that we are finding have it, the fewer number we are finding that are dying in large part from having it. So that to me is a figure that's positive, because I still think there's almost nothing we can do as a human society to keep the human organism, to keep the global human civilization and species of earthlings, Team Human, continuing to thrive and grow to the next level, and stop this virus and eradicate this virus in any short amount of time. And a short amount of time, I'm talking about like year or two, 5 years, even a decade. We might be able to get to a situation where we eradicate it, like something like polio or something like that. We might get to a situation, I think, where we actually start demanding better sort of protocols with this increasingly globalized world, where it doesn't spread like it did with this one. I'm not saying we need to quarantine China, but I think we need to quarantine our thoughts about how we approach globalization, how we think of the institutions that are set up to protect us, how we think about what we need and demand in our lives. And then once we quarantine that, we quarantine those thoughts and things, we can now go in and investigate them and study them, and then say, okay, these ones are kind of sickly. They don't really apply and work in the current reality that we live in. Let's try to treat the ones we can treat and rehabilitate. And then the other ones, some of them are too far gone. Some of them we need to bury and start with something new. So that's it. That's it for this shorty. It's also part of I guess no, it's not. It's not part of anything. It's just part of my shorty series where I just get short thoughts and I expand on them. And this is about the CCP virus. So let me know. I'm interested in the answers. I think even if you don't share them below, I appreciate you taking your time to come listen to this. Like, share, subscribe. There's also links to a merchandise store wherever you're actually watching this, where I've been trying to update and just add more merchandise as we go, but creating more content, enjoying this, and taking some time to think of what I'm going to do with this channel and see about backing up on personal website and expanding to different platforms, because there has been a recent space, and I think my stuff is in general not that controversial. I don't know, but I don't know. With certain companies and certain people doing certain things where they limit certain voices on certain platforms, and also I can use multiple ones. I'll still be posting here, even I think it would take a lot for me to get to a situation. Again, it's all quarantining certain ideas and rethinking things and how you're engaging with people and things like that, as I was speaking about at the end of this one. I'll do that the same way. For now, I'm still going to be posting on here. Even if I do move off this platform to other places and have a more personalized thing, I'll probably still have some kind of presence where, even if it's as simple as just doing like maybe a weekend kind of post where I just tell people, yeah, I've been posting this and this and this other place and kind of review thing. Anyway, that's it for now. Like, share, subscribe. Till next time. Bye.
Okay.